You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, I got to tell you, of all the things we've heard about Shedeur Sanders, whether good or bad, if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan or if I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan and or both, this is probably one of the evaluators that I would like to hear from, all right? And I'm talking about a guy that was with the Niners, Redskins, Seahawks, some of the draft picks him and John Snyder put together, which is where a guy like Scott McLaughlin, all right, would have really been involved, would have been late-round draft picks. Listen to this. Russell Wilson, KJ Wright, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Byron Maxwell, all right, Earl Thomas, Russell Okung, Golden Tate, Bruce Irvin, Bobby Wagner. Scott McLaughlin was a really good personnel guy, all right? And he has now come out and he's made some comments analyzing the draft, and he's talking about Shedeur Sanders. And it's worth paying attention to. And a lot of people are saying he looks pretty good in camp. I think people have been more surprised than anything. You're talking about a guy that went in the 5th round. Now, maybe that's part of it. You're looking at it through the lens of this is a 5th round draft pick, not a guy that some people had late 1st, 2nd, 3rd at what we thought was the latest, right? And then, of course, the big story was he kept falling and falling and falling. Cleveland Browns were somehow able to nab Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round of the NFL draft, even though most expected him to be a day 3 pick. Really? No, they didn't. I mean, look, I can hammer Sanders, this, that, and the other, and Deion and the process and how unprofessional that was, all that. Nobody thought he was getting to the 2nd day. Nobody did. So let's not do revisionist history here. All right? The NFL sent a message over conduct. And I'm not talking about criminal conduct, blah, blah, blah. But the NFL believed they could see a entitled issue, and they sent a message through the draft. All right? And how this worked out. So far, everything that Shedeur has done and said, maybe it's taken. Maybe it has. Sanders' draft slide is still a bit confusing based on pre-draft hype. The most ironic part is that he wasn't even the first quarterback the Browns selected. It was, of course, Dillion Gabriel. In spite of former Colorado Buffalo star free-falling, there are still some who maintain a heavy belief in him. And former NFL general manager Scott McLaughlin is one of them. During a recent appearance on the Pac-Man Jones show, McLaughlin raved about Sanders and dropped a massive declaration on the 23-year-old. Quote, "I think he'll be the best quarterback out of this draft." Wow. When it's all said and done, when his career is said and done, he'll be the best quarterback out of this draft. Cam Ward was the consensus top quarterback prospect in the class and went number 1 overall to the Titans. So that will likely be Sanders' top competition in the draft that wasn't exactly rife with elite talent. Bullshit, it'll be Jackson Dart. There is no doubt that Sanders has potential, as evidenced by the fact that he threw 37 touchdowns and completed 74% of his passes. Of course, the question may be whether or not Cleveland represents the right destination for Sanders to succeed. Look, can you imagine? Let's just do it like this. Let's say Sanders becomes Kirk Cousins. And stays with Cleveland. There's a world, and I'm not sure, now that Jaden Daniels is on the Redskins team, nobody's going to say this. But let's be real here. The Commanders / Redskins should have never let Kirk Cousins out the door. He would have been their best quarterback over a 10 or 12 year span. They should have just paid him. All right, if the Niners are going to pay Brock Purdy what it is that just gave him, then the Commanders, who didn't have a quarterback, guess what? They let Cousins walk. They couldn't find a quarterback for how many years? A decade? After that, they made a mistake. They should have kept him. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Let's say Sanders is Kirk Cousins. What does Cousins have now? 40-something thousand passing yards? I mean, if that happens, Sanders will go down as one of the greatest fifth-round picks of all time, and quite possibly the best quarterback in this draft. All right? Now, I like Jackson Dart more. I like Cam Ward more. But we do have to keep in perspective, even both of those dudes would have been literally behind probably at least Michael Penix in last year's draft, and maybe behind Bo Nix. Now, we also got to remember Bo Nix was elevated. He was considered a second-round pick that the Broncos grabbed, very early mid-first round. And so far, so good. It worked out, right? This is going to be interesting. I mean, this is a fascinating story from the standpoint of I've said he's got all the deficiencies of Caleb Williams. Without the really strong arm, Caleb's got a gun. All right? And without Caleb's mobility. But the one thing we have not talked about is drive. All right? Drive. And you got to wonder, does Shedeur have some drive, some alpha dog in him that maybe somebody like Caleb don't have? I got to tell you, that story that came out this last week, I did a video on it. The more I think about it, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm like, oh, Jesus. Again? Is that what we're doing again here? And I don't even know so much that he's going to be a bust, but I just think somebody like Caleb should look at the Bears and be like, I want to be their greatest franchise quarterback ever, and I think that's how he should have thought from the beginning. Shedeur Sanders seems to have humbled a little bit, and yeah, I said that, humbled a little bit, and he's going in there with the idea of I'm going to own this job and take it and be the best Browns quarterback I can be. We'll just have to see, is his skill set good enough to become that? He's got a very, like I said, he's got a very Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo kind of skill set. Average arm, not really mobile, but accurate. He's probably more athletic than Kirk Cousins. I don't know that he's as athletic as Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo could move a little bit more than people wanted to give him credit for. I can't go Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan was, when you go look at Matt Ryan, his statistics, the fact he made a Super Bowl, Matt Ryan is going to be we're going to look back and go, damn, did we underrate Matt Ryan? Made a Super Bowl, won an actual MVP. God, did he throw for 50,000 yards? But that kind of skill set, all right? Tell me what you think. This is interesting. If I'm a Browns fan and I hear somebody like this talk up Shedeur and say, I think he's going to be, I would say he was the best quarterback coming out in the draft, that makes me feel better. It does. I'm not going to lie to you. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.